Listen, this changes the story a little bit. I never would have thought about playing if I hadn't won, and this definitely opens the door to play. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I certainly have to take a pretty hard look at what's best for the team, and we'll see. We still got it's still June, so we still got a long ways to go, but this definitely changes things a little bit, and we'll all get together and figure out the best way to do this.
All right, so let's figure out the best way to do this with our assembled panel today. Delighted to be joined by Tripp Isenhour. You're familiar with Tripp, with his work on Golf Channel and otherwise. Tripp has 6 professional wins to his credit, over 300 starts on the PGA Tour, 24 top 10s. GapGolfCoach.com is his website if you'd like to check out more about what he's doing in that regard. Jim Gallagher Jr. is joining us as well. Jimmy has got 5 PGA Tour wins to his credit. He was a member of the 1993 United States Ryder Cup team, the 1994 President's Cup team, and he has 50 career top 10s to his credit. Gents, great to see both of you guys. We brought you on today because we want to go down this pathway of Keegan Bradley. Should he, shouldn't he? A lot of people are weighing in. I'm seeing a lot of media people talking heads about whether he should be there. We want to go from a player's perspective. Tripp, let me start with you. Fire away. Should Keegan Bradley be on this Ryder Cup team this year?
Yes, absolutely, especially if he's within the points. I mean, if he's one of the top 12, it's a no-brainer. I don't see how he can't be, given how well he's playing, how well he played in closing, when Tommy Fleetwood misstepped in Connecticut last week. Look, he should have been on the team in 23. Let's just face it. I mean, he was very surprised he wasn't on that team. And, Zach Johnson's a friend of mine, but I really think, going out and picking the guys, Spieth and Thomas, Spieth was in the points. Thomas was outside at 15th in points. And Keegan was one of those guys who had won a couple of times. So, I don't think there's a question, really. And you look at Keegan's Ryder Cup record, I know it's a little bit mixed, but man, oh man, he plays so fired up in match play situations. I don't even think it's a controversy. I know Jim's played in Ryder Cup, so I'm going to defer to him as to what the captains have to do. But nowadays, I think the captain has so many assistant captains that once he's out playing, it's a bit cathartic for him, so he can get out and just focus on what he's doing. And I think it could be a distraction from all the permutations and everything that you have to do as a captain. It would be a tiring week, but I don't think it's a question if Keegan's within the 12 players that he needs to. He doesn't even. Well, he would have to pick himself if he was outside the top 6. But I don't think anybody's going to look at that and go, he doesn't belong there.
Yeah, and plus, Tripp, I mean, if you had to kind of tuck him away, he doesn't have to go out through 5 sessions either. But, all right, Jim Gallagher Jr., you just heard Tripp kind of set you up with the question, are the demands of the captaincy of the Ryder Cup too much? Is it foolhardy for him to be on the team as a competitor?
I would say not in today's world. When I played, we had one assistant captain. I think, look at the way, I'm just telling you, I was out there at Travelers, a couple groups ahead with Rory, and just the atmosphere. I mean, and it's going to Beth Page where he's played plenty of golf. I think he's done a remarkable job right up to this point being captain and playing at the level he was. Tripp's right. He should have been on the team the last time. That's not even an argument there. That's why it was so surprising when they picked him, because he was still playing some great golf. Hal Irwin was my playing captain on the President's Cup. I know it's a completely different level. It was the first one, and he had Paul Azinger as his assistant captain, and it worked out fine. I think, obviously, if he's in the top 6, he's playing. To pick himself, here's the problem. Here's the deal with that. I would say yes, because I don't know anyone that's playing any better. But if he picks himself and they win, it's great. If he picks himself and they lose, everybody's going to hate it. So you're kind of in a no-win situation there. But at the level he's playing now, and if it continues the next 2 months, yes, he has to be playing on the team, especially as much as he loves it. And I know he wants to still be the captain. And it can be done. He's got plenty of guys on the side there. They'll have a game plan. I think that's the unique part. It's not like you're in the President's Cup when you match up the matches. that you play against each other. You put them in the order you want to put them in, and then you hope the other side, whatever order they put them in. So that's the tricky part. It's not like you're matching them head to head. You put them in the first 2 days, the first 4 matches, and the next 4 matches they match up. So it's not like it's one-on-one like in the President's Cup when if you pick A, then they pick B. So, yeah, I think he can, especially looking at the way he's played just to this level again and still being the captain with all the so-called distractions. Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't. And he loves it as much as anybody. He bleeds red, white, and blue as much as anybody. And it's about – I haven't seen a captain hit a shot yet. And I think that's the biggest thing. And no disrespect to the captains. But it gets down to the players hitting the shots and making the putts and putting them in the best position to win. And that's the captain's job. But he's got capable guys on the side as well.
Jim, the people who are against us, when they're reminded of the fact that the last playing captain for the United States Ryder Cup team was Arnold Palmer in 1963, we'll go, look, the Ryder Cup in 1963, with all due respect, is not the Ryder Cup that it is today. But your Ryder Cup in 1993 is very close to what it is today in terms of the passion, in terms of the emotion, in terms of demand and the times, in terms of what you talked about, an exhausting week, which incidentally, it's an exhausting week for everybody involved, whether they're a captain of the team or whether they're a competitor. So from that standpoint, can you give me some insight, give us all some insight into what you saw were the demands on the captain of your Ryder Cup team, would have been Tom Watson in 1993. Just give us some of the kind of behind the scenes of stuff that we may not know in terms of pressures that are on that individual.
I think a lot of that work's done before they get there, but deflecting media, deflecting any kind of controversy, I think that's their job when things are said or done to kind of diffuse some of the things. There were things that went on at the Ryder Cup when our golf bags were all in the locker room. And when I didn't play in the morning, and Payne Stewart's bag had my pitching wedge somehow in his bag. So he would have had 15 clubs. I'm not saying someone put it in there on purpose. I'm just saying that happened. So those things happen behind the scenes. But I think it's more about deflecting all the situations that could happen if there's a controversy or whatever. But there's going to be demands whether you're a player or a captain. I think it's got to be in Keegan's mind. If he honestly thinks in himself, that yes, I can play and I can play at the top level and still be the captain and rely on my vice captains. If it's his decision, it's not our decision whether, yeah. But if I look at it today, yes, he should be playing. But it's ultimately up to him in his mind and his feelings. Yes, I can do it. And then he's got to go do it. And he can't look back. You stick to your decision and you go with it.
Yeah, to that point, Tripp, I like that Keegan Bradley, to the prospect of him possibly be on the team, and there was some indications early on. I remember Davis Love III mentioned this to me last time I spoke to him, that, there's contingency plans in place if he's able to make it as a player or be on the team as a player. I like that Keegan is coming out and going, look, no, I'm captain. Full stop. I'm captain. I've invested enough in this, whether I'm playing or not. That part of it I do like. But what I wanted to ask you about, Tripp, was, is not his appointment, when Seth Waugh called him, a year and 2-3 days ago, and said, we want you to be on the team, he told him, we want you to be the first playing captain since Arnold Palmer in 1963. Isn't his captaincy about kind of blowing up the way things have been done before and doing things differently? I mean, even to the standpoint where both of you have said today that he should have been on the last Ryder Cup team. And with all due respect to decisions that were made, some of those decisions in retrospect look like they were made because of who someone was a friend with, so they thought they would pair better and the chemistry would be better and And there was talk about, even from Keegan himself, saying, I'm always kind of on the outside looking in. There's that bit of a chip on his shoulder. Aren't we talking about in all of this, Tripp, about doing it differently because the way it's been done hasn't been working very well at all?
You read my mind, because that's what I was kind of thinking as we were going into this conversation. Was this did break the mold. And look, I mean, the mold has been kind of reinvented a couple of times with really since the Tom Watson captaincy at Glen Eagles. And the U.S. Ryder Cup program has really, I think, evolved and come into a long way. But to your point, breaking the mold in picking Keegan, it was exactly that. And the fact that a playing captain, they were thinking that when they picked him, because guess what? As we said, he probably should have been playing in Rome 2 years ago. But I do think he's going to be playing at Bethpage. And one other thing, we talk about a chip on the shoulder. You know, he said he had a chip on the shoulder about not being or snubbed for a pick last time, he plays well with a chip on his shoulder. And guess what else? You talk about playing well in front of a home crowd. That's pretty much what he's done at Travelers the last couple of years, winning that tournament a couple of times, and how much it means to him. And you saw it on Sunday when he marched around that green. And imagine him at Bethpage, former St. John's player. It's going to have that vibe. It's going to have that same thing, but it's going to be amped up 1,000 times from what we saw in Connecticut. And Keegan thrives in that environment. And I do think absolutely that the fact that when you get all the stuff that you have to do off the golf course, I think he's got so many people around him that when he gets on the golf course, I think it's going to really hyper focus him, and I think he's going to contribute. Now the edge is if he does pick himself and he doesn't contribute any points, he's going to face a tsunami of criticism, but he can't let that affect his decision. And again, it sounds like Keegan's not making this decision alone. I think he's going to have a committee of his assistant captains and the 6 players that make the team. They have a big say in this as well. But I can't see any of the 6 saying, no, Keegan, you don't deserve a uniform for playing there. A playing uniform. And I, again, for all those things that I said, the fact of how well he plays with a chip on his shoulder.